my slides so that all of us can be able to see what I have for us today. Can all of you see my screen?
Yes, Ernest, your screen is visible.
Okay, good. So, ladies and gentlemen, what we are here to do is to just, I would actually want to call it a refresher, because I'm quite sure there are not so many people here who maybe don't have an email address and haven't done email communication. But the keyword in our title today is the word effective and the word professional. Those two words are very, very key. We communicate, but we may not communicate effectively. And what some people have said about effective communication is that communication is effective when you send a message and it receives the right response that you actually expected. Then we can say that communication has been effective. So we are here to try and learn about how do we use email effectively, especially in professional settings. So Darius has introduced me, and I'm not going to take too much time here. I think he did a very generous introduction, so I'll just dive straight into our presentation today. So our agenda today is basically we are just going to talk through some quick facts about emails globally. We are also going to look at who are some of these providers, and touch lightly about various pros and cons of some. Then we are going to focus largely on something called email netiquette. I know some of us are used to words like email etiquette, but netiquette is about etiquettes on any cyberspace. In other words, anything that uses internet, they are called netiquettes. And generally, I'll also share some general best practices that anybody, if they adopted them, would really give them a very good professional look and impression once they send messages via email. So I'm a statistician. I love numbers, and numbers do speak a lot. So on your screen, I'm quite sure you can be able to see how vastly email is used globally. You can ably see that 67% of the global population actually use email. Okay, definitely they own email addresses. The number of emails that are sent per day are like 50 times or 50 times plus the number of people that are there in the actual globe. So it means a number of emails flying here and there. And the big question is, how many of those emails are effective? Okay, and those are the latest statistics from a publication called Statista that normally tracks digital communication statistics. An office worker on average spends on average is able to send about and receive 121 emails. Now, if you understand the terminology of an average is just a central figure. So you might be sending less or receiving less, but at least on average, an office worker from 8 to 5, you are able to send and receive about 121 email messages. The number of youth who use email, in which me and you lie, 78%. So it means it's not an obsolete means of communication, even for us as the millennials, but it is very much used in the world we are living in today. So we need to know how to interface with it. 99% of people check their email inboxes per day. So as I go through these statistics, you can locate yourself which statistics actually speaks to you. Are you part of that statistic? Are you among those who check their email inboxes per day? Whether it is compulsory because you have a job, or whether it is a personal email. And in this presentation, I will dwell more on the work email, but also I will also hint on some aspects on personal emails, because we normally misbehave in personal emails, because you can use a personal email to do professional work. So we also need to know what are some of the best practices there. And as you can see, 64% of millennials think email is one of the most personal means of communication from brands. For example, if you wanted maybe NSSF to send a communication to you, it has been found out that most people love to receive an email from a company rather than general messages out there on social media, because they can easily relate to them. It makes them feel like they are it's been personable. Now, we'll talk about this later in a few minutes about spam emails, and we can see that 60% of users avoid opening emails from unknown addresses. Okay, so it means that if you send an email and the other receiver is not aware of your email address or doesn't have you in their address book, definitely the chances are it will not be opened and your communication will not have been effective. And emails that never make it to the inbox are 16%, and we know that those ones, they either lie in the air and they are discarded, or they go to the spam. So you might send an email, the other person is saying, I didn't receive it, yet actually the email is in the spam folder. So we need to know how do we avoid how do we avoid the emails we send to go to our spam, okay, so that they are able to reach the addresses that they are destined to reach. So why is this important? Why is this important for us to learn about email? Because I'm sure every one of us has a smartphone and it has an application for an email. It could be a home mail or Gmail. But the question is, why are some of those apps, why do they actually come as system apps on smartphones these days? Because it's just because of their usage and their importance. And we are learning this because the way you communicate it depicts a lot on your personal brand. It depicts how competent and professional you are, so that the other person is able to actually also give the due consideration that is necessary for the communication that you are sending. So email communication forms a very good, it forms a very critical component on your personal branding. Secondly, it is part of succeeding at a job. Okay, so many things can go wrong on a job. You can actually win a client via email. You can lose a client via an email communication. So it's very important to know how do we write these emails. And then definitely it can help you make a good lasting impression to help you land opportunities. And that bullet there, I can comfortably say part of the reasons I got the job where I am working is because of bullet point number 3. It was just an email that actually delivered the results. So it's very important on what you put in that email, because it can actually land you an opportunity. So let's go now into the crux of the matter, into these things we are calling netiquettes of email. I'm sure many of us know, we know this, but I know there are some new names that we may not have come across back this side in Africa. I'm sure we know Gmail. I'm sure we know Yahoo. For if you opened, and if you've been using an email address for more than 15 years, I think Yahoo was Yahoo those days of 2002 and 2003. It was one of the booming email service providers, but the likes of Outlook then, it only had Outlook 2000, but now Outlook and Gmail have actually become hotcakes in terms of email service providers. And of course, those of us who have iPhones, iPads, you can also see an email service provider on the i platform. So there are many out there, but of course there are those that command the highest numbers globally, and that's Gmail, Yahoo, and also these days many offices use Outlook for email communication. So what is the netiquette of email? Let's start with your email address. So guys, your email address is very critical. So ensure that in one of your addresses, it has your name, okay? It really has your name. Even in companies, when they're creating email addresses, they ensure that if you're Ernest Kalema, at least they initial one of your names and they put the other name as a full name, for the sake of easy identification of who is communicating. So let us avoid those pompous words that we put on our emails, because somebody will not identify. It's easy for somebody not to read it, okay? Or it's easy for it to go to just go into the spam folder. Some people have set their emails like that. It's if an email is not clear, it just goes to the spam, okay? Then another thing about email addresses, please, as you're sending an email, the space for the email addresses, please always put it last as a best practice. The reason why that is the case is that if you are sending an email and wrongly there was information in that email, and if you try to click send to that email, if you had put that email before and you click send, it's very hard to retrieve that message, especially if the time when you have to press undo does elapse. So it is a best practice that if you click send and you realize that actually in your communication there was something wrong, when that space is blank, the email won't go. So always put the email address of the receiver last as a precaution to avoid a message that you didn't want to go the way it was from going. Secondly, when we are saying the salutations, some people begin with dear, some people say hi, some say hello. We need to be careful, because for many of us who work in organization, it depends on the cultures that are there. I've been in organizations whereby a CEO who has a PhD, they don't want you to call them doctor all the time. They want you to call them by their last name. They want you to call them Geoffrey. They want you to call them Darius. Okay, so it's very fine for you to just come and say hi Darius. Okay, it's very fine for you to come and say hello Darius, because if that's the culture, but if the culture of the organization is so much about titles, then please, I would rather you use the word dear. But if the culture is more about it's a very friendly culture, it's just a culture that allows you to relate very much at a friendly personal level, even if it is professional emails, just use the word hi or hello, but just be sensitive and know the culture in which you are operating. Secondly, please, in your email, still about culture, mind about the name. Some people, they don't want, they are Michael, but some people call them Mike in their informal discussions. So as much as possible, use their full name for the issue of being relatable. But if you know that Michael wants to be called Mike, even in professional communications, it's okay. So culture is very, very important when you are dealing with emails. Thirdly, the subject of your email. This is like the game changer if you want your email to either be read or go to your spam folder. Now, globally, the way spams are actually designed is that there are certain keywords that are normally known to be as spam. So if the way you write your subject contains such a keyword, you will find that the email in the receiver's email, it will go into the spam folder. So as much as possible, ensure that you use very clear subject lines. And as a best practice, do not make it long. It should be about 25 to 35 characters for a very good subject line. So if you just took a tour into your spam folder and look at the emails that are there, you can actually see some of the titles that are there. Titles like, congratulations, you have won. Now, it's very easy for such an email, okay, from an address that is weird to actually go into a spam folder. But if you know you have a proper email address, use a title that communicates and is direct. For example, if, for example, you wanted to update me about our discussion we had, you just say update on our previous discussion. Okay, something short. Okay, so that it is not easily missed. If there is something you want me to attend to very quickly, just say urgent. Okay, and then you put the subject, so that when I'm going through my emails, I can know which email to actually open. When I see the word urgent, I want to open it and see what is urgent in that email. So no, you need to know how to play around with the subjects. Then still on the subjects, always when you're sending communication, which is in a new subject line, always open another email. There is a tendency when we are in office, for example, there is a new client that has come, and I am communicating to my manager about that new client. I would rather, if there is any communication regarding that new client, I keep it under that subject line. Okay, unless now it is a new thing for us to like talk about, I create a new subject line. But we normally throw around these subject lines, yet it would have been easy for one, if I need a communication regarding that client that has been onboarded, I want to go with that. When I click that email and I go through the email trail, I can follow how the communications have been going. But if you scatter them every time you're writing an email, a new subject line, but it is revolving around the same issue, it's not a best practice, and it is hard to retrieve things when you are looking for them. So for the sake of time, there are things I'm going to emphasize, and there are things that you can do without, but it will be good to have them. A signature, definitely, it is a good to have, and best practice, it's just your name and your contact details and your title, if possible. And if you belong to an organization, just put a logo. A signature it just helps. If, for example, someone needs to call you after they have read their email, they can retrieve your phone number from there. They can know who is this person speaking to me, because the email has come as Darius Nkwasibwe. I don't know who Darius is and in which capacity is he communicating to me. But if I look at his signature, that actually Darius is a senior manager. If I receive a communication from a senior manager or a founder, there is a kind of weight I put onto that email, rather than Darius, it's a very nice email, but I don't know who is Darius. So I need a signature helps you to communicate that information to the reader to also, and it enables the reader to place a certain weight on that kind of communication that has actually come up. For the last row, I'm going to concentrate on two things. I'm going to concentrate on number 5 and number 6. That is the CC and BCC. Okay, I know we know these terms. We know what 2 means. I don't know how many people have used BCC. Okay, but BCC is basically blind carbon copy. And I've received emails whereby I have been CC'd in an email and I am wondering, what is my role in this? Okay, so always use the CC option when indeed the person you are communicating to, you either want them to be aware of that thing or it affects them. And it is always important when you're CCing somebody, even in the email address itself, indicate why you are CCing me. Okay, some people just CC you, you've seen the email, but then you are wondering, why am I copied in this email? So as a best practice, as you are writing, write and say, I have CC'd Martin Lubwama because he will provide you this sort of help regarding this. So that when I'm reading the email, I know why I am CC'd in that particular email. But sometimes we just receive an email, it's not to me, it's to somebody else, but I am CC'd. Okay, it is good to know, but why do I need to know this at this particular point? Because there is so much emails to read, and to save some people's time, CC when it is necessary. BCC, for example, you have sensitive information that you want to send. BCC, it enables the person whom you don't want to see that information not to see it, or it enables you, for example, if you're sending to multiple email addresses, so that the other people don't know who else you have sent that who else you've sent that email to. And many I think HR professionals here can actually attest to that. They normally do that. You receive an email, but then you are in the BCC, and then you're wondering who else has actually for example, if it's a shortlist, you want to find out who else has made it to the shortlist, but you find that maybe you are in the that the person who was sending used the BCC option, so you can't even see who else was actually shortlisted. But the email is saying you have been shortlisted to go to the next stage. On this slide, lastly, I'm going to talk about reply to and to all. Reply to, always, some people, it's like by default when an email comes and so many people have been CC'd, they always click reply all, but the same concept on CCing applies to the same concept on reply all. Why do you want to reply all? Why is that message intended for all, or it's for the sender, him or herself? So you need to be very careful about reply to and reply all, because you don't want to broadcast a message to people who are actually not concerned. Them being CC'd doesn't exactly mean that what you are responding will actually affect them too. Am I clear, guys?
Yes, you are.
Good. Okay. Lastly, about the email netiquettes is I've talked about spam. I've talked about BCC. Okay. And let me talk about the body of your email and then the attachments. As a safety this is not it's not mandatory, but as a safety precaution, when you're beginning your email and you have an attachment, please first attach it, because some attachments take time. So as you are attaching, be writing the email, because what normally happens, for example, if maybe your network is slow, you have a tight deadline. When I used to work in one consulting firm, we used to send proposals a few minutes to the deadline time. You have to write an email body, a good one, but there are also attachments you have to put there. If you have 5 minutes to submit, those attachments, due to your internet connection, they might take long. So as you are writing the body, ensure that first put your attachments first, then you can continue typing, so that, because they take time to load. Otherwise, if you do it the other way around, in very high pressure and time sensitive jobs, you might miss some deadlines. So attachments, because they take some time, first attach. As it is attaching and it shows you where it has reached, then you can go ahead and then you type your email address, and it's best practice in your body. Please mention what you have attached, okay? Because sometimes, because some people don't have a good culture of naming documents, they can send they can send a PDF and its title is untitled. Now, I don't know what this untitled document is. You haven't mentioned it in your email, so I'm wondering, why should I open it? Because remember, email attachments, some carry viruses, and even if you check your current email, the first thing they do is to first scan for for a virus in that attachment. So it's always best practice, if you're not good at naming documents well, at least in the body mention that I have attached a copy of my CV, okay? So that somebody knows in this email, these are the attachments that are there. But otherwise, if your documents are named very well, Ernest Kalema CV, Ernest Kalema short profile, like, that is fine, but somebody needs to know which document am I opening and what is contained in there. Lastly, on the body of your email, best practice, ensure that your email is one screen long. In other words, you don't need to hold your mouse and scroll for somebody to, because humans have a short attention span. If I receive an email and it is 2 pages, trust me, I either skim through it or I just close it. So ensure that as writing your email, it is one screen length. On one screen, the whole message has fitted there. So keep it as brief as possible and to the point. Of course, there are certain fonts that are good, but some people have color. Don't use fonts that are very decorative. I mean, there are fonts that can't be read because you want to design things, but put it into some good fonts like Calibri, Segu, Times New Roman is okay, but don't use very decorative fonts. And then lastly, the one of the models that was developed when you're writing a body of an email is called the scrap model, and it goes like this. A scrap model, it shows you how a typical email should be structured. There is always a situation, there is always a challenge, okay? And then there is a resolution, and then there is you must end it with a polite you must end it with the last polite statement. For example, if I went and I had coffee with Darius last week, and it was a business meeting, we wanted to see how we can work together. So you need to start your email by describing the situation by saying, Darius, hi Darius, I hope this finds you well. Following our meetup yesterday where we discussed this and this and this and this, that is the situation, okay? We discussed that we need to register a company. Number one, we need to do this, we need to do this, we need to do this, okay? I suggest that after our meeting, you need to take up the role of registering the company. You need to hire somebody to write for us the articles of association. There I am giving that solution, okay? So, and then as I end the message, I end it with, it would be great to hear from you, okay? Or I look forward to hearing from you concerning these issues, and then you close the email. So it's not that this model has to be used in every email, but it is a framework that was developed for a good email. Describe the situation, the challenge, okay, the complication, the resolution, and then end with a very polite statement. Even if in the email you were complaining, if the email was you were dissatisfied, you're expressing displeasure, always end an email on a positive note. I emphasize this because I have seen this work. You write an email, and in the email, as in everything is showing you are displeased, you are dissatisfied, but do not end with threats. Okay, don't end with threats, always end on a positive note. Okay, so the way you end your email is really very critical. So ensure that you are very, very polite. Lastly, guys, this is the slide that I'm going to stop on. There are other 3 slides, but they are examples of what a good email looks like with all the aspects that I have highlighted. But I think the president or the coordinator might share them for us to have a moment to see the other details. General best practice: don't write an email or respond to an email when you have a extreme emotional, when you're in an extreme emotional state like anger. Because if you're angry, your emotions will also they will also be shown in your writing. It is very clear. I remember one time I still at that farm I used to work with, I was displeased with what a consultant had sent through. I was so angry. And because I was angry, I went onto my email to give them a piece of my mind. Now, I try to be as polite as possible, but when a third party came and read through the email, they're like, Ernest, why did you even send that? And I'm like, but I have been polite. When I had when I was calm and I read the email again, like everything I felt was, you could actually read it in what I had written. You could read the emotions. So emotions can actually come through your writing. So don't write an email when you're angry. At least not an email, because emails can be retrieved even after 5 years and they can act as proof. Okay, that's why for some organizations, they tell you, put it in writing on email, because that thing you put on email, it is proof, it is a record, it can even be used in court. Some organizations use it even as a contract. If you see that, please come and provide services to me via email, even if we don't have a contract per se, that email that you have written can be binding. So whatever you put down in an email is very, 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 very key. Secondly, be cautious with humor. What you think might be funny to some people might not be funny. So ensure that a statement that you intend to be light, you can put one emoji to show that here I am just being light, I am just joking, but always be cautious with humor, because the things that are humorous for us this side back in Africa may not be humor to people of a different culture. So use humor very sparingly. proofread your email before you send it. And I would advise always, if an email is sensitive, always get a second eye to look at it. It always helps. It always helps because you may not know what, you might have a certain perspective of things, but always a third eye is better to see the spelling issues, to see the grammar issues, and all those sorts of things. I've talked about culture. Culture is very critical. If you received an email from an Englishman, you know that they are really very wordy, even in the normal in the normal setting. English people are normally very wordy people. They do talk a lot. But even in their writing, they can write a very big email. Okay. But then when you're handling Germans love being direct and straight to the point. I have worked with Germans recently, and one of the feedback I was given is that I wasn't direct. Like, they need to know, just tell me, what do I need to do and when? That's all I need to know. I don't want this sort of things. You first exchange some pleasantries. Hey, how was yesterday? No, they don't want that. They want to find out, what do you want me to do? Be direct. So culture is really very critical when you are communicating to the various set of people, especially in this day and age where we have where we are becoming a global village. My last nugget for the day, guys: assume that everything you write is a public document. It may not be, but assume that it is. Because if at one point in time it is brought to you and it is exposed out there, would you be happy that what you put in writing has actually gone public? So ensure that whatever email that you write, that even when you left that organization, if somebody reads it, it will not taint your image before their eyes. So ensure that if I am writing an email, as much as it's a communication between me and Darius, let me assume it's a public document, so that at any one point in time, Darius maybe wants to use the email I wrote against me. I can defend myself, and I can know that that is the communication I wanted to go public. Even if it goes out there, it will not destroy my image. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for giving me the audience. And I think right now I can welcome a few questions regarding professional email communication.
Thank you so much, Ernest, for the wonderful presentation. And at this moment, we are going to go into the time of Q&A. And I will request Darius to take it over the session of Q&A.
All right. Thank you, Madam President. Because of time, we'll take on a few questions. So I'd like to request that if you have a question, please type it in the chat room so that we are able to pick it up. We'll take up a few of them, and then the presenter has promised that he will share with us the slides, and then we'll be able to share them on our forums. So Ernest, I have 2 questions so far in the chat room, but before the questions, I have people who are appreciating and saying that this has been a fantastic presentation, and they appreciate you. They say you have been a fantastic speaker and you've added value to them. One of such people was Phyllis from Bebaja. Thank you, Phyllis, for appreciating. So Ernest, we have Rebecca Kukunda. She's asking, is BCC a professional thing? Sometimes it is taken as blackmail. Kindly say something about it. If you can allow me to give you the second question so that you tackle them together. William Chizito, who is a guest to Raga, is saying, what should I do in case my email is hacked and I just can't log in that very instant or reset my security features? What would you advise? Ernest, you can respond to those as the rest of the people share their questions in the chat room. Over to you, Ernest.
Okay, the first question was, is BCC a professional thing?
Yes, that was the question.
Okay, a straight answer, yes, it is, depending on how you use it. For example, management might want to send very sensitive information. Okay, and that information, they do not want you to see who else as in who else it has actually been sent to. So if you want to do that, you put BCC. I have actually I have seen BCC being used in a number of professional emails I have actually received. Especially these days, I've been under 2 recruitments, and I've seen companies use BCC in their email communication. So BCC is professional depending on how you use it, but it is a professional option to use. The second question is about hacking. Darius, is the second question about hacking?
Yes, if one's email has been hacked and maybe at that point they are not able to access it, what can they do?
Now, I don't know how to answer that because I'm not an IT person, but what I know is that the security features on your email address, those that have been put there can actually give you security. But if in case the hacker has actually maneuvered through to actually get to your email, I cannot say that this is where you run or why you just run to police. No. But at least Gmail is able. You can write to the Gmail people if you are using Gmail. But what I know is that before somebody gets in there, for example, even if I logged into my email here and I have my phone, okay, it will send me a notification that somebody is trying to log into your email from another location. Even when there are times I have received messages where somebody from Sweden has been trying to hack into my email and he has been blocked. They send me a notification that somebody tried to access your account from Sweden, but they have been blocked. But if it was you and you opened your email, your personal email from your workplace, okay, on your phone, because it shows on your phone, you will receive a notification and they're asking, there was activity on your email from this address. Is that you? So if you confirm that it is you, it is Kawa. If you confirm that maybe it's not you, then they will take you through procedures of how they will ask you to maybe please change your password, please you change your recovery question, blah, 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 so that they can, at that point in time, they can put the right security for you. Cases where your email has been hacked, in all honesty, I'm not quite sure of what the procedure is, but the best thing is, you just write to the providers themselves. But I believe the security they have provided is adequate enough to keep your email secure.
All right, thank you very much, Ernest. Indeed, I think it's very important that we don't wait for the email to be hacked before we activate the features or before we wonder what to do. There are lots of security features that your email can help you with. And usually when you're signing up for your email, they ask you to activate these, like a 2-factor authentication where you ask someone to send where I ask for your email to receive a code. You could
Yeah.
be maybe, sometimes you have a recovery email which you're asked to input, and then you can use it just in case you're not able to access your email. I think you can use that to recover your email if you're not able to access it. If you already put your recovery email, you can go to that recovery email and use it to say that I would like to change the password for this email also. Yeah, so Ernest, the last set of questions that I have here. We have someone named as BBC Care Services is asking, do we say, I hope you are well, or I believe you are well? Then the next, Ernest, can you answer that in 1 minute before I bring on the next?
Now, I would say that is semantics. I hope you are well. I believe you are well. Those two statements can pass. They can pass.
All right. Thank you, Ernest. If I were the one, I would use I hope you are well.
Yes.
Then Tumsima
But also,
Ivan is asking,
what I want to emphasize, guys, I've seen a lot of, especially as the young people, there is a bit of laziness we have. You're sending an email, you write FYI or PFA, please find attached, and that is the only thing in the body. Guys, let's desist from that. Because when I want to retrieve that email, I put in a search criteria and you put PFA, I will not get it. I won't get it. So ensure that, please, as you write your email, if you wanted to send me a short email, I least say, hi, Ernest, okay? Please find attached the proposal you had asked for. Regards. And you just close it there. But these things of PFA, FYI, guys, let's, in professional communication, let's desist from those things.
All right, thank you, Ernest. So Ivan, let me read these questions together and you respond at once in less than 3 minutes. Okay. So Ivan is asking, what can I do if I shared my email and I'm receiving email from that particular person when I still receive emails? I'm not sure I understand that. What can I do if I once shared my email and I'm receiving emails from that particular person when I still receive emails? Okay, I hope, Ernest, you can be able to decode that. But still, Ivan is asking, how can I block unnecessary emails from such a person? Oh, I think it was a continuing question. Wants to block a person from whom they were receiving emails. And then the same person is asking, how can I remove an email from a machine they use to send me an email if someone is on it? If someone is on it and can't find my email to send me again. Anyway, I hope Ernest, you can decode that.
So I have decoded the first question, but not the second one.
Hello, can I ask?
Yes.
The first question is
that is Ivan.
Oh,
yes,
okay.
Ivan.
Ask the second one.
The second one, like I put an email on a certain PC, and they used maybe to copy me when they are sending, but when I no longer want those people to send me those messages, how can I really remove it from that PC? Because when someone still want to send you, you can just see that he has ever sent to you. So how can I remove it from that gadget? Then plus the first question. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ivan. So, Ernest, the rest of the things really compliments. I think people are saying it was informative and people are thanking you for the presentation. So you can respond to Ivan and then we close the Q&A session. If you can use 2 minutes, please.
Okay. Now, one of the things that I don't want to say that I am an expert in is, you see many of these apps. I want to encourage us as young people to to use Google, because I also use it. You just go to type, how do I block somebody? But basically, to answer your question, for companies, for websites that you subscribed to, and they're sending you emails, and you want to, you don't want the emails like anymore, please unsubscribe them. Just unsubscribe them, remove them from your address book in your email, and then you won't receive those emails again. Emails that you are receiving in your inbox and you don't like them, report them as spam. There is always that option on top. You report that email as spam, it will never get into your inbox again. It will get lost there in the spam email. So I hope I have, those are the number of options if you want to stop receiving emails from some addresses. You either unsubscribe, you report them as spam, and when you unsubscribe, please remove them from your address book, and all those sorts of things. So what's the second question?
So the second question, he was asking how about like how he can sign out from an email from a computer he's no longer using, if I can summarize it that way.
To sign out from a, yeah, so
Hello.
so yes, please.
Ernest, please respond to that.
Yeah, so I think I think the issue here is not the device. The issue there is your email being open on a number of devices. Okay, so it's not something that you will go on your computer and do, but for example, if it's been open on a number of devices, I mean, on your computer, come and you sign out of all those accounts. Okay, just sign it out. The next time you want to access your email on that computer, you'll have to log in. On your phone, because you have an app, okay, your app, you can always, because I think the default for your app is that once I click my app, I always go to my inbox, because I don't need to like always come and sign in, especially if you put it, if you set your app into the automatic sign in, okay? You don't have to do that. But the basic thing is just sign out of your email from that device, okay? And then ensure that it is not remembering your password, and then that account won't be operational on that email unless you come and you sign in again on that particular computer, because your computer, it records your logins. For example, if I go and I do login and I clicked please save password, every time I will come, and even any other person who is not me, when they come to access that email on that computer, they will get in, okay? But if you want to do that, just sign out of that device. So it's an issue of where is your email open, on how many devices is it open. I hope that's the answer that he expected to receive. I hope I got the question right.
All right. Thank you, Ernest. Thank you for sharing with us. Thank you for sparing your time. I would like to hand back to the president to continue with the remaining parts of the fellowship. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Darius, for leading us through that session. And thank you so much, Ernest, for the wonderful presentation. I am going to request Herbert, the club secretary, to give a vote of thanks to Ernest.
Yes, Madam Vice President, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Herbert.
Yes, we can hear
Yes,
you.
All right, I want to take this opportunity to thank Mr. Ernest Kalema for taking us through this wonderful topic of email use, professional email use. And definitely he mentioned many sections which are very, very, very important to email use. And if I can mention a few, I remember myself writing a very beautiful email or promising many attachments only to forget to attach any document, and I just sent without anything. So when he said that we do everything and write in the recipient's last, it was something to note. It was something very important. When he said that it's not good to respond to all, they send an email and you all respond and we are able to see all your feelings and reactions. It was a good point. The same thing with forwarding and being careful with who to add as recipients. We want to thank you, Ernest Kalema, for taking us through the email etiquette, and we promise as a club we are going to take on the information and improve our email communication, and I'm sure even the attendants will take it on as the Interact family, and all the guests will be able to put the email etiquette into practice for proper and effective email use for professional communication. Thank you very much, Mr. Ernest Kalema. It was a great session. It was informative and we benefited from it. Thank you very much. We thank you, and big thank you from the Interact Club of Ruvaga. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you very much, guys, for sparing your time and being an attentive audience. I really appreciate it.
And you can see the screen. That's a digital certificate for you.
Okay, wow. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys.
All right. Darius will send it to you via it.
Okay, all right.
Thank you so much, Herbert. At this time, I am going to request our Sergeant Jamil to only use 1 minute and give us the statistics. Jamil, hoping that you are ready.
Thank you so much. Hope you can hear me. The following clubs have visited us, have been with us on today's call. We had one Rotary Club, that is our mother club, Rotary Club of Ruvaga, represented by the Director in Service, Daniel Kasozi. For the Rotaract clubs, we had the Rotaract Club of Makindye West, the Rotaract Club of Bwebaja, Rotaract Club of Wakiso Central Information, Rotaract Club of Mbara, University of Science and Technology, Nangabo, Steta, Kampala Maisha, Kampala Wandegeya, Kampala North, Kampala Sese Island, Kampala West, Bunga, Cape Munyonyo, Bukoto, Mwekume Partners, Kampala Central, Tagok, Lubowa, Entebbe Airport, Chambogo, and Kabalagala. President, in a special way, I want to wish our very own Daniel Kasozi a happy anniversary. We really love you so much, and we hope for the best of your marriage. We wish you the best, Return Daniel Kasozi. We want to also join our mother club to celebrate you, Uncle Danny. We love you so much. Enjoy your day, Return Daniel. President, over to you.
Thank you so much, Jamil. And I would like to thank you so much, everyone that has joined us this evening for our fellowship. Thank you so much, the PLD team that has led us for our fellowship, Darius, Jamil, Bob, Agnes, and Herbert. Thank you so much. So I am going to request Ibrahim from Rotaract Kabalagala to give us the final toast.
Yes. Good evening, members. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, thank you so much. If I give the final toss, I would like also to add on my appreciation message to Mr. Ernest for the wonderful and informative talk. Are we allowed to charge? You can charge virtually. So for the wonderful and very educative fellowship we've had, and message from Mr. Ernest about how to use email. I tossed to Rotary International.
Rotary was,
Then the other thing is the Rotary Club of Uganda always meets on. We had resumed our physical fellowships. Will be hybrid, both physical and virtual.
Sasule Zakarango.
Cheers.
President, I also had some information.